Welcome to the channel The Winning Tales. Here we share inspiring stories of triumph, perseverance, and success to motivate and uplift you on your journey to greatness. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. Once upon a time, in a kingdom called Kapilavastu, there lived a prince named Siddhartha. He was born into a wealthy and influential family and was destined to become a great ruler. His father, King Suddhodana, loved him dearly and wanted to ensure that his son had the best of everything. From an early age, Siddhartha was sheltered within the palace walls. He was given the best education and was trained in martial arts. He was groomed to be the future king of Kapilavastu. However, despite his privileged life, Siddhartha was troubled by the suffering he saw outside the palace gates. He saw people suffering from sickness, old age, and death. He could not understand why people had to suffer and die. These thoughts plagued him constantly, and he often wondered if there was a way to end suffering. One day, an astrologer visited the palace and predicted that Siddhartha would become either a great ruler or a great spiritual leader. This prediction intrigued Siddhartha, and he began to wonder if he was destined for a different path than the one his father had planned for him. As Siddhartha grew older, he became more curious about the world outside the palace walls. He wanted to know more about the suffering he had seen. One day, he convinced his charioteer to take him outside the palace walls for a ride. During this ride, he saw a sick person, an old person, and a dead person. He realized that suffering and death were inevitable, and no one could escape them. This realization shook him to his core. He could not ignore the suffering he saw around him any longer. Siddhartha became increasingly restless and wanted to know the answers to the questions that had plagued him for so long. One night, he decided to leave the palace and renounce his wealth and status to seek enlightenment. He left behind his wife, Yashodhara, and his newborn son, Rahula, and began a journey of self-discovery that would take him 6 years. Siddhartha became a wandering ascetic, living a life of extreme self-denial. He believed that by depriving himself of all pleasures, he could achieve enlightenment. He practiced meditation, fasting, and other forms of self-punishment, hoping to find the answers he sought. As he wandered from place to place, Siddhartha met several spiritual teachers who claimed to have found the path to enlightenment. He listened to their teachings and tried to follow their ways. However, he found that their teachings did not satisfy him, and he continued on his quest for enlightenment. One day, Siddhartha met 5 ascetics who were practicing extreme forms of self-mortification. They believed that by torturing their bodies, they could achieve enlightenment. Siddhartha joined them in their practices, but after several months, he realized that this path would not lead him to enlightenment. He left the group and continued on his quest. Siddhartha wandered for several more years, searching for the answers he sought. He became increasingly weak and emaciated, and he almost died. At this point, he realized that extreme self-denial was not the path to enlightenment. He understood that the body and the mind needed nourishment and care to achieve enlightenment. One day, he sat down under a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, India, and began to meditate. He was determined to find the answers he had been seeking for so long. As he meditated, he was plagued by doubts and temptations. Mara, the demon of desire, tried to distract him from his meditation by tempting him with visions of wealth, power, and pleasure. However, Siddhartha remained steadfast in his determination to find enlightenment. After a long and intense meditation, he finally achieved enlightenment and became a Buddha, which means the awakened one. Buddha spent the rest of his life traveling and teaching others about the path to enlightenment. He taught that suffering is an inherent part of life, but it is possible to overcome it by following the Eightfold Path, which includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Buddha's teachings, known as Buddhism, quickly spread throughout India and other parts of Asia. His teachings were simple yet profound, and they offered a way for people to overcome their suffering and find inner peace. Buddha passed away at the age of 80, but his teachings lived on. His followers recorded his teachings, and they became known as the Dharma. The Dharma consists of the Buddha's teachings on various topics, including ethics, meditation, and wisdom. Buddha's life story is a powerful example of the human potential for self-discovery and enlightenment. It shows that even those born into privilege and wealth can suffer and seek answers to life's biggest questions. It also demonstrates that anyone can achieve enlightenment, regardless of their background or circumstances. Today, Buddhism continues to be a popular religion and philosophy in many parts of the world. It has evolved and adapted to different cultures and societies, but the core teachings of the Buddha remain the same. Buddhism offers a way for people to find inner peace and overcome their suffering, and it continues to inspire people to this day. And that's all for today's video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your support means a lot to us and helps us create more content like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.